about maintaining that authenticity is don't over delegate. Don't just put a prompt in, okay, I got 30 posts for the month. Like just click, copy, paste, post, because there's no soul in it. There's no you in it. You haven't really sprinkled it and woven throughout your heart, your soul, your spirit, your light, and really crafted the words in a way that, or the message or whatever it is that you're putting out there, in a way that really comes across as truly authentic and believable and trustworthy.
Welcome to the AI Grapple Podcast. My name is Kate Vandervoort, founder and CEO of the AI Success Lab. Today is the 50th episode of the AI Grapple, and I could not be more thrilled to welcome a true pioneer in the world of social media marketing. Mari Smith is a world-renowned social media thought leader and online marketing strategist, affectionately known as the Queen of Facebook. For over 2 decades, she's helped entrepreneurs and global brands master authentic, high-impact marketing. In this conversation, we explore what happens when trust in social media is eroding, when AI is generating most of what we see online, and when people are questioning what's real anymore. Mari shares why live connection and community may be the last true moat in a world of AI content. She shares her thoughts on Meta's acquisition of Manus and the rise of Agentic AI, and how human design can help us stay grounded, make better decisions, and market in a way that actually feels aligned. Let's welcome Mari Smith, social media visionary, human design analyst, and champion of authentic marketing in the age of AI. Hello, Mari, and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Kate. I'm really excited to be here.
I am so looking forward to this conversation. I have been a long time fan and follower of your work, and our careers have sort of had a similar trajectory with a background in social media. So I'm really looking forward to our conversation today. I'd love you to start by maybe just giving us a bit of background about who you are. I'm sure everybody is familiar with Mari Smith, but please give us a little bit of a background of who you are and how you've been to, where you are today.
Gosh, well, as soon as I start speaking, people can tell I have an accent, like yourself, right? If you leave your home country, you've automatically got an accent. So I was born in Canada to 100% Scottish parents. And then I lived in Scotland for 20 years before emigrating to California in 99. And so I've now spent more time in the States than I have in Canada or Scotland. I'm very, very blessed to have triple citizenship. I have 3 passports. So I got options. But I was always an employee so long as I left school really early in my mid-teens and went right into the workforce. And it wasn't until I moved to the States that I became an entrepreneur. And my career has always involved some form of marketing. And there's always this undertone of relationships. In fact, in the early 2000s, I got certified as a relationship coach, and I was doing workshops, doing private consulting. But I also had this other love that was around internet marketing and email marketing and ebooks back in the day. And so then social media just like fell into my lap one day in 2007. It was actually May the 4th, Star Wars Day, that I joined Facebook. And I just fell in love with it. It was like magic. I was blown away that we could basically connect with pretty much anyone on the site at the time, particularly in the DMs, right? The direct messages. And back then, people were much more responsive in answering their direct messages before, billions of people joined the site. And I found that there was just something incredible happening where, people whose like email lists I'd been on for a while, leaders I follow, fellow just leaders in their own industry, thought leaders and coaches, consultants, people whose events I went to. And now all of a sudden I could just ping them on their DMs and they're answering me. And I'm like, can I interview you? And it was like this, we were able to like get through any gatekeepers, assistants or whatever, And so then I was like, oh my God, this is magic. We can create community. We can bond with others. We can develop new relationships. And then since then, it's just become over almost 20 years now. It was literally almost 20 years ago. In many ways, I like blink and go, how the heck did 2 decades go by? This is the longest I have ever stuck with any one career. I know about myself in my own human design type of profile. I'm a 1-3. It's called a 1-3, which the third line learns by trial and error, experimentation, just trying a bunch of things. And I think probably that's why my Facebook career has kept me so, and able to keep sticking with it. That thing they say, stick to itiveness, and because it's always changing. And has it changed for the better? I don't know. Sure, Zuckerberg has got this mission to connect the whole world, but at what cost, right? At the cost of being deeply manipulated by these AI-powered algorithms, and they're not able to even really think for ourselves, because you just mindlessly go on, you're scrolling, and it's psychologically feeding you this stuff. And so I'll be honest with you, Kate, I'm really at a bit of a crossroads in my own career. I know we're going to get into in our chat today that how much social media as an industry, as an experience for the consumer, has drastically changed and is continuing to change and evolve. It's what Gary Vee talks about, the interest media. It's no longer social media, it's interest media. And I would say we're even heading towards what I would call intent media, where the algorithms know you so well, it's going to predict what you want, what you're likely to buy, what avenue you're likely to go down to make a purchase with incredible accuracy. So I'm kind of in a bit of a dichotomy these days, because I'm like, well, do I still really love social media and Facebook? I don't know. And then you've got AI, blasted all over the place. So yeah, that's I'll stop there and hand it back to you.
I'm also a 1-3, so I can see why we've got some parallels in our career. But we'll come to human design a little bit later. But I love what you were saying about being able to bypass kind of red tape and normal ways of contacting people. And I remember back in the day of Foursquare. Do you remember Foursquare?
Yes, I was the mayor of my local health food store.
I ended up connecting here. I was here in Australia, but ended up connecting with the head of innovation at Cisco in San Francisco. And I was traveling to San Francisco about 3 weeks later. And we had this whole conversation, and I ended up meeting him in person, which would never have happened if I had have, gone to Cisco and gone, "Hi, can I speak to your head of innovation, please?"
Yes.
And so I love those early days of social media too. And I think, our DMs are so filled with marriage proposals and other nefarious offers that, yes, they've lost a bit of their charm. But you've been called the queen of Facebook since 2007, and you really have witnessed the entire evolution of social media marketing. And the burning question that I have for you, and that I ponder all the time, given my background in social media as well, is it really strikes me that we're facing this trust crisis. You can't trust anything that you see anymore online. And audiences are questioning everything. So what does that mean for the future of social media? If it used to be a place where we showed up to connect with humans that we knew and we trusted what we saw and what we heard there, and now we don't, what does that mean for the future of social media?
Oof, wow, so many places
Little
I could
question.
go with this. Yeah. Where I'm coming back to is where my mind wants to go with this. So Tom Bilyeu, he's an entrepreneur that I like to follow. He has the Impact Theory podcast, and he can be intense. But I want to say about June of last year, it was the email came across my desk that really stood out. Is he had the title was something like 90% of all content by 2027 will be fake AI content. And I'm like, whoa, what? 90%? And he's like, the only moat, right? That protection around a castle, the only moat is community. And he talked about doing things like hosting live events in person, going live more often, doing interactive Q&As with your audience, live streaming, it feels like it kind of like really peaked at some point, maybe 2017, 18, 19. And of course, live streaming was, feature of the early COVID years. But then it kind of tapered off. It plateaued, including for my own self. I just don't do as many live broadcasts like Facebook Live or YouTube Live or whatever. But now it's like, this is a way to build trust. Get on camera, / host live events. Get in aura. We call it in human design. Get in aura. In aura, nothing can replace that. No amount of AI. Okay, you're going to be able to tell if someone is a clone or a bot sitting next to you. But the next best thing is live video. And so, yeah, this whole erosion of trust, I think that between the algorithms and AI and just the way that the social platforms are psychologically programmed to make people think a certain way, so then they stop thinking for themselves. And it really is, it's really a tragedy in a way, where what happens is, and I never mean this disparagingly, but my mind wants to say sheeple. I call them the sheeple. Like all the people that just follow along. Well, everybody's going that way. I'm just going to follow. And so the way I like to recommend is to do what I call mindful scrolling versus mindless. And especially as a marketer. And if you're a social media marketer, okay, let me just take 20 minutes here, max, scroll, see what Facebook, Instagram, whatever sites you like, that it jumps out at you. Oh, I really like that. Oh, I resonate with that. And I know this again from my human design as a sacral generator. Ooh, I could feel the expansion of my energy. That lights me up. I like the way that they're speaking about that, or this approach, versus something that conversely, ooh, yuck, don't like that at all. For instance, I'm so not a fan of AI photo shoots. I'm sorry, I apologize to everybody that does AI photo shoots. It's just not for me personally, and that's okay. I'm no judgment, but I really feel that a reaction, no matter what it is, right? The like, the heart, the hug, the haha, whatever, is in essence some kind of form of endorsement. So what's happened for me in my erosion of trust, I am so much more reticent about hitting that, scroll. Oh, what's that? In the past, you may just go, oh, I like that. Boom, boom, boom. I like that. No, wait a minute. Is this real? Am I about to endorse something that is completely fake news? I'm not going to risk my reputation. I'd rather do nothing than endorse or react or have my name associated with something that's just completely fake. And I don't mean in terms of fake, like, okay, you've used ChatGPT to make an image of yourself or any image, that's fine. But literally, so I just come up with a silly example. There was like this woman that was rescuing baby seals in Alaska or something like that, right? And this is a little while ago. I remember seeing that video go by. All these people just going, oh, and actually it was a fake account. It was a fake account of a real celebrity. And people were thinking this real celebrity was out there in her boots and her, furry coat, hopefully faux fur, rescuing all these baby seals in Alaska. And there, you could tell by the comments, people were just getting sucked in. I'm like, stop. People, if you look closely, this was just my thoughts. I didn't engage in the comments. If you look closely, her boots change like every three seconds, So I don't know. People they really need to stop and take back their agency and their own authority to begin to really think for themselves, because trust is probably it's probably not at its lowest, but it's definitely not increasing. It's decreasing.
Yeah, I often say that discernment is the number one skill we all need in life at the moment with the state of AI. So, I mean, I'm seeing a distinct shift in people, and I know, social media, we have the mass exoduses and then they all come back and then, but I am seeing a lot of people moving off social media. Do you think that there will be something else that emerges in its place? And we often get, we're the ethical platform, or we won't sell your data platform, and they kind of get little peaks of engagement and then you never hear about them again. But do you think that something fundamentally different is going to emerge in place of social media?
Good question, Kate. And I kind of have two answers. My optimistic, hopeful self is like, I've been waiting years, 10 years at least, for a realistic, awesome, amazing replacement for Facebook, the main one we all use. And some people might, be all over Instagram or TikTok or whatever. Like Blue Sky comes charging onto the scene. Or during COVID, the audio platform, what was it called again? The
Chat, Clubhouse.
Thank you. Clubhouse. Oh my God. So funny because I've gone back to the rising. It hadn't quite fully peaked, but it was on the rise. I want to say it was, I know, remember, it was January of 2021. I know this because I was on a conversation with someone that was being recorded, and I've gone back since to listen to that recording. And I hear my own self, oh my God, you've just got to get into this Clubhouse thing. It's the greatest thing ever. And I'm like just raving about it. And I'm like going back and going, wow, well, that kind of went splat. You talk about trust. I don't really think that there was a lot of trust ultimately in that platform and the way that they were telling us it was built. And I don't know, don't need to go down that rabbit hole. But so that was something, it wasn't really a social network, but people loved the idea of not having to go on camera. But anyway, that's one answer, is I really would like for there to be one. But then the other answer, realistically, to be one replacement to a new social platform. The other thing I kind of do is what I call like my mom test. My mother will never go on Blue Sky or Threads or whatever, Discord or Telegram. I mean, those are more messaging apps, but my mother is locked firmly into Facebook because that is where all her family are. Every single family member she can connect on Facebook. She only has a limited number of friends. She has her profile locked down between Messenger and her immediate circles. It's like, it's her life. She's living vicariously through us all. She's 80, what is she, 83 this year? And so I do the mom test. And maybe a lot of people, no matter what age your mom is, you can relate to that. It doesn't have to be your mom. It's like, if she's still in the physical or not, it's like just like the relationship, the immediate family relationship test. Like if you suddenly go jump ship and you're all into this new platform, are all your family going to come with you? Probably not, until maybe there's really is a contender for Facebook. But I don't know, because see, Zuckerberg, he's going really far down the rabbit hole with AI. I know we're going to talk about at some point the acquisition of Manus. And so I think, Kate, if we have this conversation a year from now, even 2 years from now, I think social media will be a very different playing field, a different feel, a different vibe, a different purpose even.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think it has to be. I think it's kind of run its course in the way that it has been, and it's time for something new to emerge. I just hope that it goes more back in the human side of the intersection of humanity and technology rather than the tech side. And you may not have come across it, but early in my AI journey, there's a platform called Butterflies where you set up your own AI character, and it's a social media platform for AI to talk to each other. And you log in each day and there's you doing some, visiting Japan or doing, it's like your AI avatar has this whole life of its own. And I used to find it hysterically funny about some of the stories that would emerge. But I got to the point where it was like, why am I engaging in this completely false world that actually has no reality in my world at all? And so I shut that down. But that at the time, I just thought it'll be really interesting to see where social media goes. If it's all bots talking to bots and AI generated content that is not real, are people going to show up? Like what's there for them? What's the payoff, I guess, for them?
Yeah, exactly. And real quick, do you remember Second Life? Did you ever get involved in Second Life?
Yes.
Because that reminded me of what you were just saying.
Yeah. And look, I mean, the metaverse was going to be where we were all hanging out, wasn't it? Which hasn't quite happened.
No way I'm walking around with a big pair of goggles on my face.
I even resist, I have to say, the AI wearables at the moment.
Nope.
I have an ethical issue with if people don't know that they're being recorded.
Yes.
I'm not sure that I want to be recorded without my knowledge, and that it just raises so many challenges for us, and yet we're barreling right down that pathway. And it's a fascinating time to be alive. And I wish I had $1 for every time I said that.
I know, right?
So I love what you were talking about with you're at a bit of a crossroads with your career because you're not alone. Many of us who have been in the workforce or been in business for a while are going through a very similar transition. I did that 3 years ago, moving out of community building and social media more into the AI space for exactly the same reasons that you were talking about. And I love that you've gone really deep into the professional human design studies and that you're really integrating that knowledge into your marketing and your courses. Can you explain, maybe for those, firstly, who are not familiar with human design, maybe give us a quick explanation of what that is? But then, how does understanding human design help us as entrepreneurs or business owners be more authentic and have successful social media strategies? And especially as we're going into this world of AI, where AI touches everything.
Wow, a big question. Let's see if I can make it so simple. Human design, the human design system has been around since 1987, so almost 40 years. And it is, in essence, a fusion, a synthesis of many disciplines, and that previously this synthesis didn't exist before. It is based on astrology, Eastern, Western astrology, so your date, place, and time of birth. And there's a conscious imprint at time of birth, but then there's also an unconscious imprint some 88 days prior. They say it's when the soul enters the body. So you've got this composite of your unconscious genetic imprint, your unconscious and your conscious. And so it shows, it's like a map. You get this body graph and it shows you how you are genetically imprinted to have certain skills, strengths, your life purpose, your theme. And most importantly, I'd say the most important part of the human design system, excuse me, is that each of us has a very specific body wisdom way of making correct decisions. And it's not the mind. The mind is so smart and tries to talk us into and out of decisions. Our mind is for other people. Our mind is what we call an outer authority. You're a genius at marketing and AI, and you're telling me before we started recording about all these wonderful businesses you help with your AI Success Club, and that's you being an outer authority for your clients, for the world. You know, me with my social media, and now with my human design fusing in. But my inner authority is my gut, my sacral. It's this lower dantian, that lower belly, which, 2/3 of the world are the generator, manifesting generator types. Actually, almost half the world are the solar plexus decision makers, which means they need to take their time, feel into it, dip your toe in the water, getting in the habit of saying, I need to sleep on it. Let me feel into it. Let me see how I feel. When do you need to know by? I'll get back to you tomorrow or next week. And it's so counter to how we typically market. It's like, sign up now, midnight tonight, countdown timer, and if you're at a live event, you ever been to those seminars where the sage on the stage is like, run to the back of the room and the first 40 people get this, bonus. And people just the masses that people are conditioned to not think for themselves, they're getting swept up in this frenzy of, oh my God, all these people are buying, I should buy as well. And conversely, though, if you come back and you start dropping into know thyself and like, how do I function? What is it in my body intelligence, my cellular wisdom that's going to go, yes, Kate invited me to be on her podcast. Yes, that's how, I can feel the energy expanding and leaning into. Absolutely. I'd love to do that. I know we took a while to get booked and whatnot, but oh, well, here I am now. As opposed to, very simple things. I get a lot of invitations or opportunities or situations present themselves, and I just see, how is my body responding? And let's just give an example. Let's say it's something that I'm being asked to do, collaborate, joint venture, affiliate, speaking, whatever. And I can feel my energy just almost like backing away, like the repelling of a magnet. I'm like, my cells, my gut, my sacral is actually contracting as opposed to expanding. And yet the mind, see, that's where the mind will, oh, but Mari, you said yes before, and you can't say no, and you have to be nice, and you have to be fit, and you have to be liked, and you can't say no. You can make a lot of money, like all the chitter chatter that goes on in the mind. And it's just a beautiful immersion in just really understanding yourself and others and having deep compassion for us as uniquely differentiated human beings, right? There's even identical twins. We're uniquely different in our own way. And we were just saying off camera there that I just this morning finished a wonderful conversation with my longtime friend, Derek Rydell, and he's got a brand new book coming out with called A Whole New Human. And it is very much what you were just talking about, how like really leaning into our authentic humanity of what makes you different is how you're going to be able to survive in this AI world. And one of the things that Derek talks about is like, AI is trying to think for you. No, the antidote, you've got to be able to think for yourself. And as Derek was saying, though, some people are like, well, wait, how do I think for myself? That's where this know thyself part comes in, and where I just love the work of the human design system. Because to me, ever since I was 15, I've been absolutely into all kinds of personality assessments, the DISC, the Myers-Briggs, the Enneagram, the Strengths Finder, you name it, I've done them all. Nothing compares to the accuracy of the human design system.
Yes, it was a huge revelation to me to delve into that, the human design system, and understand my own makeup. It sounds like we have a lot of similarities. But I've actually created one of my favorite custom GPTs that I created early on. Was a bit of a coach, if you like, but trained on my human design, my Enneagram, my all of my, because I also have all of those profiles, and often you do them and you understand it at the time, but then they kind of fade away into the background. But I've trained this little custom GPT on all of my unique personality profiles, and that combined with astrology, every day I can just ask, what does today look like? What should I be thinking about? This is my calendar. How do I lean into that? Knowing, you know me intimately now. How do I lean into that? And it's kind of brought all of that really alive for me again, which has been really useful.
Yeah.
I'm also sacral authority. I'm very, very much decisions in my body, and I get an immediate yes or no. And it's one of the gifts I'm trying to pass on to my children, is the ability to really listen to their body around that. So bringing that back to marketing, so you obviously bridge both the cutting edge social media technology and the human design principles. So how do we maintain our humanity and authentic self-expression in marketing when AI tools can now literally whip up content, images, video in seconds? How do we really keep that humanity and that authentic showing up?
Yeah. Gosh, so many places I could go with this. Well, a few days ago, I got so lit up by a conversation I stumbled across on YouTube. And of all the algorithms out there, by the way, YouTube is my favorite. YouTube gets me. The others, not so much. They just keep feeding you whatever. I don't find ever that YouTube is as manipulative. Like I open up the app and it's like, whoa, like the first 2 or 3 videos, I'm like, yeah, dang, I want to watch that. Talk about the sacral response, right? It's just like, woo, the energy is going, wow. So I went down this rabbit hole and watched this, I think it was 90 minutes. Kyle from the Heart Coherence Collective, which I've watched a lot of his videos, and he's had Pam Gregory and Richard Rudd and all these, these esoteric, spiritual, astrology people, Gene Keys people. And he had this guy on called Jeffrey Hoppy, and I was not familiar with him. And he's got this Crimson Circle, and his whole conversation was about AI and how AI is a mirror of our consciousness, and it's a way to access higher levels of our own consciousness and how to partner with it. And I was just like, this is brilliant. It just literally just blew my mind. It helped me to open up my own perspective of how I view AI, because it's like out there. It's a thing. It's like, ooh, I don't want to get too attached to it. It's a thing that's trying to condition my mind. But thinking about it, and this Jeffrey was talking about how, okay, right now we're at the computer keyboard or the phone, or you're dictating to, you're giving it voice prompts or text prompts. And then sooner or later, he's even encouraging you to just, when you're away from your tech, imagine that you're interacting with your chat bot. He calls it a co-bot, as in collaborative bot or co-creative bot. I'm like, that is so cool. He's like, now you're like co-creating with your own higher self, which is just all the wisdom and intellect that you have access to, and to be able to bring that and infuse that. And one of the main things he was talking about, how important it is to infuse every interaction with the AI with your light. to keep the frequency high. And I know for a lot of people this sounds super woo woo. If some people listening to your show are much more kind of hardcore techie, going like, what the heck are those two talking about now? But this is an aspect of where, to answer your question about maintaining that authenticity, is don't over delegate. Don't just put a prompt in, okay, I got 30 posts for the month, like just click, copy, paste, post, because there's no soul in it. There's no you in it. You haven't really sprinkled it and woven throughout your heart, your soul, your spirit, your light, and really crafted the words in a way that, or the message or whatever it is that you're putting out there, in a way that really comes across as truly authentic and believable and trustworthy. And then I come back to that part I was talking about with the live. If interspersing your content with you live, you don't have to be live, but like taking clips of you and recorded you. The sun's streaming in my window now, so I'm now getting even more washed out. No worries. But yeah, so just having aspects of the real you at the same time. I'm sure you follow Julie McCoy, and she's from First Movers AI, and I've been following her journey of creating this incredible YouTube channel, which is 99% her clone. And she's right up front. This is Dr. McCoy, Julia McCoy's clone. And I thought maybe, I think it was about a year ago. I was like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a clone, and I'm going to train it, and I'm going to redo all my social media courses. And then I'm going to sell, bundles of social media courses with Mari's clone, but I'm going to bring in, a live Q&A aspect with me. And then I just never did it because I could feel in my gut. It wasn't right for me. But I admire people that are going down that path, and it's still authentic for them because they're saying, this is my bot. Hey, this is the real me. I think that's fine. Full disclosure, right?
It's a really interesting one. My mother is quite high profile in the work that she does, and we've been having conversations about her will and her likeness and her image and the organisation that will continue on beyond her life, how they are allowed to use her likeness and her image moving forward. It's a really fascinating, because then you've got no control over what your likeness and your image is actually saying if you're no longer here. And I know, some of the major personal development people who are no longer alive, their families have created AI versions of themselves. It's a fascinating thing to dive into, because I think people have got quite strong reactions in both ways.
Yeah. By the way, real quick on that, I was either Sweden or Switzerland, one of the European countries that was the first ever to allow citizens to copyright their likeness.
Yeah.
Protect their likeness.
Yeah, I thought that was a really interesting
move. 2 thumbs up from me. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, with all of the legal cases that are unfolding at the moment about IP and ownership and how the models have been trained, and the use of celebrities' voices and their imagery in AI, it's certainly an interesting time. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out and whether there are more restrictions put in place or whether we do still have that, people feeling like they're being, duplicated and ripped off in some way because of how the AI is training. It's certainly one of the big ethical issues that we need to address.
That's right.
So when Meta acquired Manus, I cried.
You did? Why?
Manus is my favorite platform. And we generate tens of thousands of dollars of value out of Manus every week. And when I saw that it was acquired by Meta, my first thought was, that's the end of my favorite platform. And, it looks like potentially that Meta was just going to, just do an acqui-hire and just pull the guts out of Manus. But now that I've settled down and I can see that they're going to leave Manus as a standalone platform, but it is a massive shift in how AI is going to be integrated into social media. So from your position, because Facebook headhunted you to be their leading small business expert, what do you think the acquisition means for small businesses and marketers, and how AI is going to be deeply integrated, I guess, into all those platforms?
Yeah, I think it's really important to make very clear distinction right out the gate for anyone, any small business, medium business, entrepreneur that's tuning in here today is make sure that you're not boxing yourself in thinking that AI is just ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, giving a prompt and it spits out, generates the response, be it text, image, video. What we're talking about here with Manus is agentic AI. And I'm sure you've talked about this and you teach about it in your AI Success Club and your consulting that you do. And this is the reason that Meta acquired Manus is they had launched, their large language models called Llama, and they had launched their latest version, I want to say like a year ago, and it kind of flopped. And, Zuckerberg is one of the most competitive people on the planet. And yet he's not really an innovator. He's a copier or an acquirer, right? If you can't copy, he acquires, or vice versa. And so Manus blasted on the scene, doing so well, massive valuation, jumped ship from China to Singapore, as I understand in doing my research the other week, that they literally call that in the tech world, Singapore washing, because people have their doubts about apps coming out of China. And so the acquisition has gone through, although I believe it's still being scrutinized, and predominantly because Zuckerberg, try as he might, offering massive signing bonuses to major talent from some of the biggest AI companies, obviously OpenAI being one of the biggest. And
$100 million sign-on bonuses.
100 million.
37 people at $100 million sign-on.
Would you take it? Kate, would you do it?
Yes.
I think I might as well. Depends on the small
However,
print.
Seven of those 37 people left within a month or two. So I'm sure they didn't get to keep their sign-on bonuses.
You see, that's the thing. Depends on the small print. If it's like, you have to be here for 10 years before you get your bonus or whatever. But no, it was really because, like you just said about the guts, is the guts of Manus. It wasn't just an acqui-hire. Yes, there's talent there. And yes, he's letting them stay in Singapore. But I think that before long, they're absolutely going to have an office, in Silicon Valley, or a real strong representation there. And to just begin to weave in, to bake in these paid tiers for access to agents that can literally help small, medium, large businesses with pre and post sales to generate more money for businesses, that they'll spend more on ads, that they'll spend more on these maybe Meta verified paid tiers, as well as the agentic AI paid tiers. Maybe they'll just bundle it all up, and for X amount, hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars a month, that major corporations and whatnot will be able to go, oh, absolutely, yeah, just deploy that for me, and the agent goes off and whatever it does, all workflows and books your flights and accesses your credit card. I'm sorry, but I'm so on the fence with all that. I'm like, it's way too early for me. I'm an early adopter, but with my 10 line ones and my human design, I have to really investigate and create a solid foundation before I will actually trust any of these apps to go and do things on my behalf, because it really makes my stomach churn to think about how much power we're giving the agentic AI. I don't know. Like, for example, I'm curious if you use OpenAI's Atlas browser.
It's not available here in Australia yet.
Okay. Interesting. Isn't there other agentic browsers maybe?
There are. So Perplexity has Comet, and there's Opal. There's a couple of standalone ones, and Gemini, of course, is now coming into Google Chrome. And it is, especially for businesses, it is a major security issue, because if you have an AI agent that's watching everything you do, think about everything you do in your browser. You log into your banking.
That's
your there's
emails.
a lot of private information that happens. And it is interesting how much we've just trusted cloud computing, though, and think about how much trust we put in the browser. No one really asked questions around, well, hang on, has anyone got access to that information? What's the security around that? But we certainly need to be asking those questions with agentic AI in our browsers.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just,
and they'll put security in, and it will
eventually.
The thing is, Mari, right now we're having to grapple with all of this, and we're having to choose which platforms we're using, and it'll be 2 or 3 years before AI. We don't even talk about AI anymore. It's just sitting in the background of everything that we do. but it's going to be a bit of a bumpy ride, I think, between now and then. But with Manus, what's really interesting to me, and the first rollout's already happening. I'm already seeing some people on social media who have access to this, where Manus is now being used to completely manage ads in Meta, beginning to end. And when you think about what that means for the marketing industry and ad specialists and people who have built their whole livelihood around managing ads, and now there's an AI agent that can come in, set up the creative, choose the whole structure, decide which ads are performing well, kill off the ones that aren't. That is a massive shift, and it's already happening right underneath us at the moment.
Right.
And the thought of Manus managing ads for me in Facebook, I'm all about that. We actually shut all of our ads down because of the AI backlash that we're facing on social media at the moment. There is a lot of backlash towards AI on social media outside of the AI community. But it'll be really interesting to see how else Meta brings Manus into its suite of products. And I really agree that whole how we serve customers is a real benefit of having good AI. And they obviously didn't manage to nail that themselves. They needed to bring Manus in, but it's an incredible story. I mean, it was 9 months. Manus was founded in March of last year, moved to Singapore in June. They actually do have offices in the US and in Tokyo, and they're just opening an office now in Paris. But in 9 months, they were acquired for $2 billion. It's an incredible story. Yeah. I do go, China, Meta, trust.
Exactly. I hear you.
I kind of laugh at it's out of the frying pan into the fire.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And quite frankly, Kate, I think our minds cannot even conceive what might be possible, even if just, fast forward 2 to 3 years with this, artificial general intelligence, the agentic, the types of AI that I think we haven't even necessarily heard about yet. And the amount
and then embodied AI when it's now in robots, and then there's ambient AI, which is always on in the background, listening to everything. It just becomes part of the fabric of our life. And then we get into quantum computing, where the compute power behind AI is going to be unlike anything that we currently can conceive at the moment. So that's why I do this podcast, because I want to keep having these conversations so that people can grapple with, these fundamental changes and shifts that we're going to be going through.
Right, exactly.
So back to our marketers, if they're feeling overwhelmed, cynical, or unsure about what to trust anymore, what do you suggest in terms of, and you've already talked about this a little bit, about some of the grounded ways that they can use social media, but just what would you say to marketers at the moment as they're navigating this incredibly tumultuous time as AI infuses into every aspect of business?
Yeah. It's interesting. My social media marketing world talk is going to be about specifically based around community and building connections, and, to stopping the scroll to be able to have conversations. And part of that happens in Facebook groups, but it also happens in the DMs. And so I would say embracing those two aspects. We're talking just Facebook right now, but it could be Instagram DMs. You could have a whole other third party where you host a community. I like Mighty Networks. There's all kinds of schools, and there's circles. There's Kajabi has one, and so on and so forth. But it's like, where can you create a container where maybe you're either doing some group coaching or a membership, a club, VIPs, retreats, just this aspect of being able to lean into real human to human conversations. And it doesn't have to always be on camera or in person, but it's where something I've prided myself on, I would say, in almost 30 years of being an entrepreneur, 20 of them in social media, is nobody ever gets to speak as me. When I'm speaking in first person, it's always me, whether it's midnight and I'm answering one of your emails, or it's it's whatever, the wee hours and I'm answering one of my DMs. If someone is the only person, or the only place that I delegate is in my Facebook page, my business page messenger. And my main community manager, Adair, she will always say, "This is Adair speaking on behalf of Mari," So that to me goes a long way to creating this trust. And coming back to the human design element, Kate, it's just part about being able to discern. You use the word discernment, which I love. And it's like being able to discern, is this direction I'm going in really genuinely lighting me up? Do I feel energized when I'm going in this direction? Now, that could be for any of the different 4 human design types or the 7 different inner authorities. But moreover, it's being able to discern that the body wisdom intelligence versus the mind going, well, for example, Gary Vee said you got to post 10 times a day, and you're grinding away and you're like just not feeling it, and it's draining. Oh my God, I have to do my 10 posts today. I really don't want, the mind's going crazy. I really don't want to. Don't do it. Don't do it. If it's just draining your body, do what lights you up. I just think life is too short to be following someone else's vision of what your path is. You get to decide. And I think that is where we're going to see social media evolving. That people will be, if I don't post for a month, I don't care. So what? Sorry, I'm busy doing something else. That's so counter to what everybody tells you. Oh, you can't have a gap. You can't skip a day. You have to consistency. You got to beat the algorithms. And some of my clients do that. Some of my clients are creators that post 20 times a day. And I'm just like, hats off to you. That's not for me.
Or me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really like that. And I think as we navigate what is going to be quite a challenging time for a lot of people, I think that coming back to our own inner wisdom and what feels right for us rather than other people's formulas is such an important message for people. And that shines through in your marketing. If you're not being authentic, or that's why outsourcing content creation to agencies is a really tricky thing to do, because if you are the brand, you can't outsource your own voice.
That's right.
And my team have tried doing email sequences and things, writing in first person, and I had to stop it because I read it and I go, that's not me. Even though it's got my founder story and brand voice and it's trained on all of the things Kate, it still doesn't capture the essence of me. And I really, I love what you're saying there about just really tapping into that, because that is what, you were talking a little bit before about that outsourcing of our intelligence to AI. And one of the things I'm really passionate about is I actually think we outsource a lot of responsibility in general in life now, and we're very quick to blame. It's the government's fault. It's the responsibility should be here. We've just had the under 16 social media ban go through here in Australia.
Oh, that's right.
Which has been a really interesting dynamic to watch, because there's a whole school of thought that says parents should be responsible for whether their young people are on social media. It shouldn't be a government decision. And then there are others who are greatly relieved that someone's taking that responsibility. But there's a lot of blame that gets dished out. And when it comes to AI, I firmly believe we are personally responsible for how we use the technology. If you want to outsource your thinking and outsource your job to AI and take the AI slop and share that out, then of course we're going to replace ourselves. And of course AI is going to take our jobs and replace who we are as uniquely human. But if we use it to augment, to support, to increase our impact, to lift the quality of the work that we do, then we're taking responsibility for how we're engaging with the technology. And I think we all need to really deeply consider that as we use this technology, because it's incredibly powerful and it could be incredibly beneficial, but it could also be incredibly damaging to humanity if we get that wrong. Sorry, that's my little soapbox.
Well said. Well said, Kate. Yeah.
And so, Mari, I always like to, there are so many things that we could continue to talk about, and I'd love to talk to you again in a year and see how some of this has unfolded, because I think none of us can really see that far down the line at the moment in terms of predictions. But if we get this balance of AI, social media, staying human, if we get that right, what does the optimistic future look like to you? What do you think is possible?
Specific to social media platforms or business in general or
Life.
life? Wow.
However you take that, if we get AI right, if we get this next period
Yeah.
right, and we stay human, what
Yeah.
what could be possible for us?
Well, I'm going to circle back to my friend Derek Rydell, as I mentioned, with his whole new human book coming out. It's not about having AI replace everything that a human can do, and now we're just going to go sit on the beach or finally get to pursue our hobbies, gardening, painting, whatever. And then after a while, you're just like, oh my God, I'm bored. Life doesn't have as much meaning and purpose. I'm not contributing. I'm not making a difference. It's like, no, how can you lean into your unique, beautifully differentiated self, what makes you so special, unique, and different, that is what you're bringing to the world. And this conversation we were having earlier, it's about so many people on the planet. Derek thinks it's going to be in the billions, not just millions, but billions of people in the coming years are going to be so lost in searching. Should I get this degree? Oh my God, I'm halfway through my degree, but now that job I was getting a degree for doesn't even exist. Or now, what is the meaning of life, and what am I supposed to do? Where am I supposed to be? And it's like, what's my career going to be? And that could be youngsters, or it could be somebody going through a big major life transition at any age. And so I'm really seeing that there's going to be more and more need for trusted guides, coaches, advisors, consultants, healers, you name it, to be able to work more collaboratively and interdependently. And this is a beautiful thing, because that, in fact, is what is going to be happening starting in early 2027 as part of the human design body of knowledge. 2026 is a year of what Richard Rudd, the creator of Gene Keys, which was sprung out of human design, he calls this the year of the closing door, because we are literally, on a planetary scale, we're closing out a 412-year global cycle. Everything that we've done with the infrastructure and the institutes and the hierarchies and the top down, the government, the schools, all the things that we know, we've come to know over 4 centuries, is shifting into a new frequency that the whole planet will be affected by. And that is this rise of this empowered individual. And that's why I come back to this part about this co-creative and collaborative and interdependence, and all boats, a rising tide lifts all boats. That's my hopeful, optimistic version of the vision that we're stepping into.
I can subscribe to that one. I like that version. And just as and yes, I mean, you can feel it. You can feel that there is a fundamental shift happening around us at the moment at so many different levels. So Pam Gregory's a favorite of mine as well. I listen to a lot of her work. In fact, I invited her to be on the podcast. But,
good for you.
Yes, well, I hope that will happen at some point.
Yeah.
So, Mari, just a bit of a light one as we start to finish up. What's your favourite AI platform and why? Do you have a favourite?
Well, probably ChatGPT, because of its versatility and it knows me so well. And like you, I created my own custom GPT, and I loaded up the business application of human design. It's called BG5, the BG5 Business Institute, and I'm very, very blessed to work directly with them, and also the International Human Design School, supporting their marketing. So, but people can get either a free or a very inexpensive full report, that you take that report and that's part of your training, and it's really knows you incredibly well, like you were describing how you've done yours. And so then one of my strength is this, it's the strength of direction, which is for me as an individual, but also it's for small groups, small businesses, as well as large. It's like I bring this strength of direction as a way shower, like I show people the way. So I call my custom GPT the explaining way shower. I have all these activations in this 6 planets in this channel of what's called structuring, to be able to assemble my knowledge in a way, and my insights, and explain them in a way that people understand. And so I'm this explaining way short. So that'd be ChatGPT, but just I'm going to cheat and add a couple of other ones in because I certainly I love the Fathom AI note taker. When I started out, my very first career as a teenager was as a secretary. I used to take shorthand and, annotate meetings. And then I'm like, geez, if Fathom existed back then, I'd be out of a job. But I also like Granola, the Granola AI note taker, which just records the audio. And if I'm taking a class and I'm just recording this for my own purposes, I'm like, oh, I just missed what the teacher said. And I start interacting with this Granola real time. It's such a sweet tool. So yeah, there's that. And then of course, Descript for editing videos and making clips and such like. So that's just a few.
Well, and don't note takers and AI summaries completely change how we create content? Because now you can take transcriptions of meetings and of conversations and classes and turn that into content, which
That's
is
a good point. Yeah.
fabulous from a marketing perspective. I actually now have a little device called Pocket that it's like the size of a credit card, and I carry that around in my handbag, and I can record any conversation and it automatically turns that into all sorts of different templates. And so it means face-to-face conversations, phone calls, and online can all be recorded.
That's amazing. Yeah. I'm sorry, the last thing you said?
I said I'm having a bit of fun with that, being able to
Okay.
real-time conversations, especially with clients and things, because I can develop whole strategies with clients in conversation,
Yes.
but that doesn't get captured with online note takers. And so I can then, obviously take the client details out of it, but turn that into content that can help to advise other people as well. So.
Yeah, it's interesting earlier when we touched on wearables and I'm like, I don't want to wear the glasses and I don't want to wear some wristband thing but then they've got those things like brooches, like the little brooch things. And you're talking about this little purse pocket thing. I don't know. Maybe I could see myself using that. What's the difference between that and an app, right? So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, Mary, it's been such a wonderful conversation, and thank you so much for being so generous with not just your knowledge and your wisdom and your expertise, but just with who you are. I really value real and authentic conversations, and you've certainly brought all of yourself to the conversation, so I really appreciate that today.
Thank you, Kate. I appreciate you too.
How would you like people to connect with you?
Facebook.com/Mari Smith. They can find me on my page or my personal profile or my Social Scoop Facebook group. And then on Instagram, I check my own DMs on Instagram. I get to LinkedIn now and again, but mostly Facebook and Instagram.
Excellent. Well, we'll include all of those links in the show notes so that people can connect with you easily. And hopefully we will have an opportunity to have another conversation to loop back and see how far we've come in the years to come. But thank you so much for your time, Mari.
My pleasure. Thanks again for the opportunity.
Thank you for tuning in to the AI Grapple. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends and colleagues and subscribe on your favourite podcast platform. We would love to hear your thoughts, so reach out with any questions or comments about the show. Until next time, keep grappling with AI and stay curious.